John Haber is a managing director, a manufacturing expert and a brand strategist. He's now the longest standing owner at the helm of Haines Hunter Boats, Australia's most sought after boat brand. If you're a boating enthusiast, you know this brand for sure. It's been 25 years of leadership at Haines Hunter. It's been a journey of innovation, excellence. So let's meet the man at the heart of getting Haines Hunter to become one of the trusted boating brands in Australia and beyond. It's been 25 years of consistency in delivering some of the best fishing boats in Australia and beyond. How did he do it? Well, he's here. John Haber, welcome to our studios. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Pat.
Good to have you here, mate.
Thank you.
Can I start by saying, actually, I'm just going to we're going to just freewheel this. You're a hard man to get. You're a busy man, so we had to get a time together, and here we are. So it's good to have you in the studio.
I'm a bit late, but apologise for that. But look,
no,
I'm here.
Yes,
so
yes.
What
Right.
an introduction.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Well, there you are. Well, you know, it's nice to sort of tell everybody who's here in the studio, and I think it's warranted, that introduction. So the catalyst is we're going to start I want to pick your brain. There's that. More than the marine industry, more about you and your business mind. But it's been, this is why you're here, 25 years of Haines Hunter Boats. It has been consistent over that period of time. That's unique. To get into a business, transform it from, see, I'm doing a lot of talking here, but really the production, the manufacturing, the marketing, all the elements. And here you are 25 years down the road and it's still happening and it's still good.
Yeah, look, the brand has always been, I think, stronger than any of its owners. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to be quite passionate, you know, with marine, boating, fishing. So when you go to work, it certainly makes it a lot easier. Yes. But I've been involved in other businesses, as you know, which have given me the opportunity to take some of the skill sets from the past and bring them into the marine industry, more into the manufacturing at Haines Hunter, and build the team, because it's all about our team. You know, we've got a fantastic team of people, and over 25 years, some of those people have changed. Yes. You know, some have retired, some have gone on to, you know, becoming great apprentices and moved up the scale within the Haines Hunter organisation. Mm. But I think the key criteria that I've worked with is, you know, having that passion to try and deliver or over-deliver, whether it's a service or a product, more than what the customer is really looking for. Mm. And as you know, building boats is not an easy, you know, task. Yep. And I think that one of the things that really gets me over the line is the passion I've got for boating and the marine industry. Yes.
Right. So I was thinking about that because you've got a business mind and you're a business person. You've seen an opportunity with the Haines Hunter brand, which you say it was a strong brand when you got involved, but you've grown it from there. But you do have a passion for marine. So you had a Haines Hunter, so you enjoyed boating and fishing and thought, I want to buy the business, and the opportunity presented itself.
Look, my journey with Haines Hunter started pretty early. Not too many people know this, but I started, you know, my fishing career started with fishing with my cousin at the time. You know, that passion that he sort of instilled in the boating and the fun that came with the boating and the lifestyle and the memories that I've got are the things that I talk about today, you know. When I started at Haines Hunter and I bought my first Haines Hunter in 1992, I developed a very good connection with the dealer, which I take today, and I understand the importance of having a good connection, not only as a manufacturer, but also as a customer within the dealership. Yeah. Because that opportunity from the dealer allowed me to work at the boat shows for this particular dealer, which was Gales Marine at the time. Yeah. And thanks to Neil Gales, started the journey and the connection to meeting a lot of the people from the Haines Hunter organisation.
Yes. Just to clarify that, he invited you to the boat show because you were a customer who liked the brand and could connect with people, and he got you to just come to the boat show and talk to people?
He did, and he was a great guy, you know, and I'm very appreciative for Neil giving me that opportunity. I mean, we had a lot of fun. Yeah. And the beauty is I was at the boat show as a customer selling Haines Hunter product, which I'd purchased, and I would be able to explain to any customer or potential customer that I'm not a salesman. I'm an owner of the boat that's been happy with the service from the particular dealer, and also happy with the product. So because I knew a fair bit about my own boat, I was able to share some of those experiences, and I wasn't trying to sell the boat. I was actually telling them more about the product and how I used it and the experience that I had, and that went a long way.
It's a clever move from the guy who got you there as well.
Very clever, and that's one of the learning things. One of the things that I've learnt through the career is to have that connection with our customers to a point where they can also get passionate, get behind the brand that they love, and continue to service other customers through them.
Yes. Oh, it opens up because that's before you got the brand, but as you mentioned that passion. So is it important for people viewing or listening? It's a bit of a cliche, going with your passion. Going with something you love to do because it doesn't feel like a job and all that stuff that they say. Is that sort of driven you through the 25 years? You love it. You still love being around boats and making boats and innovating and all that sort of stuff.
I think my passion for boating is one thing. I've got a passion for manufacturing and also running a business. I've had that opportunity at a younger stage of my life to have that experience in the business world and manufacturing things, and connecting all the dots together. I mean, really, if I had to go through from the start, my career probably, if I look back, probably started when I was working at McDonald's. And at McDonald's, they're so methodical in the way that they deliver a product. And back in the day, you'd had a system that was so clever that you could have 15, 16, 17-year-old kids running your whole kitchen.
Yes.
And the amazing thing is it gave opportunity for people to come into the workforce at such a young age. But the simplicity of the tasks that each individual had to produce was made so simple that anyone can do it.
How many times? I'm trying to think of the name of the movie. How many times did you watch the movie about the
McDonald's?
The McDonald's brand.
Quite a few times. Yeah, it's quite an amazing story.
Amazing story, and that's what he did. He worked it out.
And the things that I took from that was, the simplicity of making a task is the benefit of getting a consistent product, but also McDonald's were very clever because they were using kids, and kids don't get paid as much as adults. So the cost of making this product also reduced. So it was one of the cost-saving things, and it was a lot easier to get people to work in that type of environment if they're kids and giving them opportunity than to get adults probably flipping burgers.
Yes. All right, so off that, you've walked into Haines Hunter and you've seen the manufacturing process, and the brain started thinking, I could maybe improve this or change this, which would get resistance as well. But anyway, the first day you walked in,
I'll try and connect all the dots for you.
Yeah.
So when I finally left McDonald's, I was actually at uni, and I got a job at the Hilton. And so McDonald's taught me, customer service, and taught me processes that I wasn't aware of at the time. Yeah. But, the dots then started to formulate. When I worked at the Hilton in the banquet houseman division, so we were in the banquets division, that taught me about customer service and setting things up right and delivering things at a high level. So the customer service, having that interaction with the customer, was something that I picked up through working at the Hilton Hotel. And I spent quite a few years there. I spent about 4 or 5 years, whilst I was at uni. And then from there, once I finished my schooling, my degree, I left that job to work in a food manufacturing plant, which then taught me about processes again, customer service, but it taught me about making things that needed to be absolutely perfect, because you're dealing with food, human consumption, and things got tested regularly. So I worked as a production manager there for quite a long time, and connecting the dots together, where I then left that particular job and went to work for another place where they manufactured labels for the fashion industry. And that was quite a challenging job because it was manufacturing and dealing with difficult people, and we were dealing with adults. And again, in the food manufacturing plant, we had a lot of multicultural, it was a multicultural workforce. Not everyone got along. But in order to get the best product out of your manufacturing, you needed to work out the solutions.
Yeah.
So once I I've developed those skills, I was able to go out and work for someone and connect up all the dots in regards to customer service, manufacturing, getting things lean. And I thought, what am I going to do? And I ended up then going out and working for myself. So I went from, setting up a cleaning business, and the manager at the time said, I can't believe we'll pay you more money, just stay on with us. So it's not about the money. I feel like I've made myself quite obsolete here. Everything is running well. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to open up a cleaning business because everyone promises the world and delivers zero. So it shouldn't be too challenging. And that went really well for us. And that then gave me the opportunity to buy Haines Hunter. So that's the lead in on how I got onto the Haines Hunter brand.
Yes. So all these skills are coming your way. You're learning them as you go. Then the courage to go do it yourself. But as I hear you say that, I think that the difference is that you were paying attention and learning. I mean, there's many people who go to Macca's and the Hilton and they think it's a job and that's fine.
Yep.
But you must have had in your mind, they say treat the business like it's yours when you go in there. You're paying attention and learning as you go. Would that be right? I'm making some assumptions because there's something different about John at the Hilton because you were thinking, that's interesting.
Wherever I've worked and whatever I do, most people know that I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like things done right. Yeah. And, I don't expect everyone to understand the way I think because I'm pretty, I'm 55 years old now. And it's taken me 55 years to realise that not everyone thinks the same. Right? So, I've learnt that level of patience and getting people to a level that you want them to, but not everyone can see the things that I believe I can see so quickly. Yeah, right. But it's something that I feel like I can train people and give them that opportunity to see what I see. And, we use these methodologies and those thoughts every day, in particular at Haines Hunter, to get people to try and get them to see with asking them, look, what do you see here? And then I get that feedback and I get to learn how people are thinking and why they've probably missed it. So
yes. Yeah, right. You see, you've got the courage to say that because people like to pretend that they don't make mistakes. So I guess successful people do admit that, don't they? It's sort of the courage to make mistakes and then you learn and you move on. Is that basically the formula?
I think we never stop learning, and if you can break it down on where things have gone wrong and how you can do it better next time. I think it gives you that opportunity to grow. And some people expect to grow at a rapid rate, but that's not always the case. You need to give yourself time, because even if you thought you might have found a solution, somewhere down the line you might find a better one. Yeah, right. There's always room for continuous improvement.
Yes. That's relationships, understanding people. It's interesting you say it's taken 55 years to think. I mean, we all think that people think like us. Is that like some sort of an emotional intelligence, an awareness that people are different and what motivates them? Because you're leading people, as you say. Manufacturing, I mean, you can give them the idea, you can guide them, but you need people to actually do it for you. So you have to somehow, especially now, you can't just say to people, do it because I told you so. You have to inspire people as well.
I think, Pat, one of the things, or some of the other things that also come to mind is I've made a lot of mistakes to learn from those mistakes, and learnt from those mistakes. Having the ability to say, well, I've gone down a road and it's not a good one, I can come back and learn from that. I think I've made enough mistakes that, I know which roads not to go down. I mean, I'm sure I'll go down plenty more, but that's got to be called experience.
Yeah. So there's a lot of this relationships. Is that the key? Is that like at the heart? I'm going to dig in deeper and just see about, it's not easy to keep something going for 25 years and take it to a new level like you have. So relationships, people, this sort of non-tangible element, this emotional understanding that sort of keeps people happy to come to work and be productive. Is that sort of high in the list of what the secret is or the difference? I think you've already said, John, sorry, there's a lot of things to consider and that seems to be an important thing to keep people happy and engaged and all that stuff.
I think being respectful, if you're respecting your employees, respecting your team, whether you want to call them employees, I like to call them team members, and every team member is like a spoke in a wheel. They're just as important as one another. And I expect every employee to also respect one another. And if if you came and questioned any employer at Haines Hunter, they know that this topic comes up often, is to learn to respect one another, because you don't know why someone might be flat on that day.
Right.
You know, and we don't want to add any more stress than what's needed. But I also understand sometimes, you know, there's a combination. You have to be firm and fair, because whilst you've got the employees to make sure that they're all conditioned and they're all happy, you've also got customers, you've got suppliers.
Yeah, right.
You know, there's a lot of things that you've also got to try and manage to try and make sure it all falls and comes in together. I mean, paying your bills on time is also a key element, but never spoken about.
Yes.
You know, I'd like to think that we can hold our head up high, and we're one of the best payers in the industry, and those relationships go a long way. Some people take them for granted, and some people really appreciate it. But we've also got an amazing supply chain. I mean, our upholstery supplier, windscreen supplier, you know, chandlery supplier, resin supplier, we've been with them for years and years. And I think having that consistency in that relationship is just as important as having the relationship with the people on the floor.
Is that why it takes time, when you say it takes time to build? Because you've got to find the good supply chain and the good relationships, and some work and some don't. So that just takes time. There's just patience. Is it about surviving for that long too? If your business is, I've had people say to me, you know, for many years they didn't make any money. They just kept the business going, and eventually they hit this turning point and they start to make some money.
Everything's some businesses take off, and you know, it could be, you know, we've seen many businesses just start off pretty quickly, and in 5 years they've made millions. Certainly,
That's all the techie stuff, isn't it? All that stuff.
Certainly in the boating industry, I haven't seen anyone actually come in and just make millions. You know, ours is a slow but consistent burn.
Right.
And you know, it's been an interesting journey. We've been able to adjust to that. You know, people have often said to me, "Do you want to grow the business any further or any more?" I want to concentrate on delivering a good quality product to the customer at the right time, on time, at the right price. And you know, there's enough in that, you know, to work on. And taking on, let's be the biggest boat builder in the country. I mean, get everything right, and if you become the biggest, that's fantastic.
Okay, so growth takes time and mistakes. Is it a doubles game? When I say that, sorry, I'm thinking about my own business now. They say, you know, growth. When I say it's a doubles game, I heard somebody say that you're right. You make 10, then you can make 20,000, and then you make 40. So you just somehow work out what works, and then you sort of, you know, scale up type thing.
I had an interesting conversation with someone a few days ago. And one of the things that I remember saying to them, I said, look, concentrate on getting everything right, and then the money will come later. You know, and I think that's the most important thing. You know, if you can concentrate on making sure that whether it's a product or service, whatever it is, that you've got, you know, all your T's crossed, all your I's dotted, then surely somewhere along the lines that should turn into revenue. If you're concentrating on the dollar figure and the bottom line all the time, which is still important in business, but you need to get everything else right to make that happen. So it's a scenario of making sure that you don't, you know, put the cart before the horse. Yes.
All right, so you're trying to get things right. So where do people go wrong? Is it cash flow? As I hear you say that, say, okay, I could work for a long time getting my product right and my you know, relationships right and making sure the service is all there. But because you understand numbers, you've got the background of that as well. So if you don't get your cash flow right, you might run out of money. You know, it's like a football game. You know, the game ends. If we only had half an hour longer, we would have won. But, you know.
Look, it's an interesting question. In business, you've got to look at everything. You know, and someone actually questioned me on this before and said, look, you know, what are the key things that you really need to look at? Well, in business, in anything, you need to look at everything. So I'd like to sort of portray the analogy of it's a bit like a wheel, you know, and every spoke has to be well balanced. So that everything is just important as the next. It's a matter of making sure where the balance is. Yeah. You know, I mean, you can have too much marketing. You can be doing so much marketing that, well, is the product right? Does that match? You need to sort of balance it off. So I think everything has to become a balance to move forward in unison.
Yep. And do you use a bit of instinct for that balance, like where you need to, because part of what you did was identify what worked and really sort of focused in on that, and you know, so that takes a bit of instinct, or I guess knowledge as well.
It's a combination of many things, and to give you the answer right here, right now, is not simple. I mean, you've really got to look at things, but you also need to be able to make those tough decisions, because sometimes you can get emotionally taken away from certain things that you might be overly passionate about, and forget about the other things that you really should be working on. So having that priority and prioritising things in order is also important.
John, also communication skills, the ability to articulate, even me being a radio guy, over the years, I'm a Western Suburbs boy who's sort of had to learn over many years, but I have found now that if you can explain yourself, I say to my kids, if you can sort of explain yourself and, I mean, what's in here and you can get it out. I mean, they often say this about people who end up in trouble or whatever. It's because they feel this emotion, but they can't articulate it. You know, they can't tell people about it, so it expresses itself in different ways, maybe violence or whatever. So you're able to communicate what's in your mind to others, and that's sort of really what you imagine you can create, and that's also a bit of a magic formula to running a business. Do you reckon?
It's definitely a plus. Let me tell you, that's not easy to do.
No,
it's not. That's quite a difficult thing to do, and we don't always get it right. It's also important to understand, and we all do this and make these mistakes daily, to assume that someone's actually understood what you want. And you know, today, you know, a lot of people send an email, and that could be taken out of context.
Yes.
You know, because of the tone.
You say understand. Most people, my experience is, you say one thing, and I guess you're right. Maybe it's a communication, and it can be easily misinterpreted if they sort of hear something different. I know for my radio stuff, I'll say stuff, and people will hear something that they want to hear, and it makes me realise that often, people are in their mind, and they'll hear something different. So that's the challenge too.
I find that more a common problem with sending emails or a text message where people could take it the wrong way. Yes. Because everyone's got their own style of writing, their own style of speech, the way they communicate. Everyone's got their own little style. And what I've also noticed in different cultures as well. Yeah. You know, different cultures interpret things
more
differently.
Blunt. That's right. Yeah, they'll just say things differently. Often the small talk. Somebody said to me, the Americans, maybe the Aussies, we do a bit of small talk and a bit of ice breaking in conversation. Some cultures are like, oh, you know, he talks too much. Just get in there and start. Yeah, interesting.
Look, no one's ever got the perfect recipe, but if you're getting most of the things right, you're on the right track, and you can't be too hard on yourself. I think, you know, as you get older, you start to become wiser, because you can look back at all the mistakes that you've made, and you learn how to do things different. You know, because you've ended up with a result, and you think, well, that's not the result that I was really looking for, and if I handled this differently, we would have had a different outcome. And certainly that's also been part of the learning curve. But you've also, as an individual, I think you've got to also come to terms with those sorts of things. And unfortunately, sometimes these things come a bit too late. Yes. You know, and you make bad decisions. Right. And then you think, well, that could have been different, and it could be a costly one. It could even be a friendship. You know, and I can tell you that I've made plenty of those mistakes. Yes. But that helps you grow as an individual. Problem is, sometimes it could be a bit too late. Yes,
yes. And that's an interesting point about business. You're right, you do your best. Sometimes relationships sort of fall away, or for whatever reason, you need to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and say, okay, well, that wasn't right, or for whatever reason, or that person misinterpreted something, and somehow, continue on. Yeah.
And look, there's also, you know, this happens in friendships. You know, when you're in business, you know, you got to choose your friends carefully. Yes. You know, because some people, you know, you realise that they haven't been through that growth journey or have had that experience. Yes. And you know, maybe later on in life they need to actually understand that they've made a mistake as well.
Yes.